Hey everybody.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a special guest. It's Nathan Hart, my husband. And we wanted to come on here and share our story of how we met and married in 6 months. So introduce yourself.
So my name is Nathan Hart and I am originally from Texas, born and raised Houston. Stayed there for half my life, stayed in College Station for another half my life, school, work, the whole nine. Texas through and through, and came up here to Connecticut for a job and ended up finding the love of my life.
Oh. So we wanted to share our story, like I said in the beginning. So we're gonna start like where we were before we met each other.
Mm-hmm.
How we got prepared to find our mate, and our spouse and stuff like that. So he's gonna start first because he is the guest.
So I spent a while single, and I mean, I dated, but there was a lot of obviously relationships that didn't work, and so I wanted to learn how to become a better husband for Christ. I wanted to find a godly wife, and the woman that God ultimately wanted for me. Before I met you, Blanche, I was, just living my life as a scientist and learning about Christ, growing in my faith, and I wanted to be married. And so,
since when did you want to be married?
Late 20s. I read books on marriage, on dating. I read books on, Christian dating and how not to date and all that kind of stuff. I went to relationship conferences and learned from lots of people. And so I had a lot of head knowledge, but not a lot of experience, or at least not a lot of success in dating. And so, but it was good to learn those things because I learned what didn't fit me, and then also learned like what God wants for a man to be. Mm-hmm. So part of that was learning what a godly wife is, and then part of that was becoming the man that would be right for the woman that I desire.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I was living my life. Okay, so I've always
popping bottles.
Maybe. No, I was just being a normal girl in the world. I'd say that. I wanted to be married, and I knew what I wanted in a man, in a husband, but I didn't know like that it was possible. I didn't know that God had like this, like a path, like a, steps. So I knew it was possible, to have a good man and stuff like that. But all the experiences I had before I met you, and like all the things I'd seen with like friends and family members and stuff, those weren't good examples. I say that, you know what I mean? So I didn't have a good example in my life of like a good marriage, a healthy marriage and stuff like that. For you to have a relationship, it needs to be toxic. That's what I thought. And so, but I knew deep down inside that wasn't good, and it wasn't what I wanted, and I had a little faith that it was possible, but it wasn't until I came to Christ, that I actually understood what it is to be in a healthy relationship, in a marriage, in a covenant. That's where I was just, dating people that weren't good for me and not knowing much. Like, how was I preparing myself? Well, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos on relationships and how to be more feminine, because that's something that I struggle with. It was like I had to be in my masculine energy all the time because I needed to survive and stuff like that. And that's just what I'd seen. And so I was working on that before I met Nathan, being a woman of God and just a submissive woman, because we do need to be submissive to our husbands. The Bible says it, not me. But we could have another conversation on that too, because that's, when people from the world, from out there just hear the word woman being submissive to her husband, they think it's something different, they don't know a lot of people don't know the actual definition of that. Right?
Yeah.
So
they don't know what God's intention is for it.
Yeah, when he said those words. And so I was preparing myself, for my husband during those times, I guess.
Awesome. And I'll also say I had a lot of guys praying for me to find a wife. I was in men's groups and stuff like that, had, friends and stuff. And a lot of them were in a relationship. They were like, man, you're going to find a wife soon, It
took 10 years.
I could feel the pity. The boy's like, I know it's hard out there, but she's coming. Many nights talking on the phone, like, just getting encouraged by men in the Lord. So,
yeah. I also, when I came to Christ about 2 years ago, I started praying for my husband as well. I learned, how to pray, and I learned, ask God and he shall give you.
Yeah.
And so I started praying, and I also had people around me praying for my husband, because people were like, you need to have a boyfriend. And I was like, no, I want a husband. I don't want a boyfriend. And so I was like, pray for me, and pray specifically for a husband. And yeah, that's what I was doing before we met.
Okay. What were your first impressions when you
Meeting
saw
you?
me? Yeah.
Well, I saw Nathan for the first time 9 months before he saw me for the first time. So I saw Nathan first at church one day, and he sat in a row in front of me, and I was like, ooh, he's cute, he's handsome. And then I saw the I'm gonna show you guys. He was carrying this big Bible, and as you can see, it's very big and very out there, and like
it's a study Bible. Yeah.
It's a study Bible. That's why it's that big. So that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, he definitely has to be a man of God, because he's carrying around that big old Bible. Yeah, he's a man of God. That's what I thought. And
okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm interested. That's what I thought. That was my first thought when I saw him. But 9 months passed by. 9 months.
Well, okay, so I'm not necessarily going to church, scanning the church.
Not anymore.
Definitely not now, but yeah, so I'm not noticing every woman that walks into the church. A lot of the people that I met, men and women, were through like small groups and church social events and stuff like that. And so I think it took a while before you showed up to one, but
yeah,
as soon as you showed up, I noticed.
During these 9 months, I would see him from time to time at church. Never talked. We never met or anything like that during those 9 months. So then 9 months after that, so our church has small groups. He was going to be the leader of a small group. I didn't know, but my sister and I wanted to attend a small group, to learn more about the Bible. We get closer to God and stuff like that. And so we were like, okay, so when the sign up time comes around, we're gonna sign up. So that day came about, and we were looking to see which small group fitted our needs, and we saw that one of the groups was called
Sharper Sword,
and the age group was like 18 plus, or no, 25 plus.
Yeah, 25 plus.
25 plus.
So there were two young adult groups. So one was 18 to 25, and the other one was 25 and up. So.
And so obviously we were older than 25, so we were like, okay, this is the group for us. So we signed up. We were so excited. Nathan was actually there that day. And I just glanced at him, but we didn't talk that day. I was so excited. I signed up and went about my day. And then the day comes for us to attend the small group, which was in this apartment. And he was the leader, one of the leaders.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I had no idea.
It was cool, you know, just throughout the small group, learning about one, the different spiritual disciplines. So that was what the small group was about. Learning about love, forgiveness, prayer, humility, hospitality.
Oh my God, we learned so much.
Yeah. So it was serving other people. So it was kind of a survey of the New Testament in terms of the spiritual disciplines that God has for the new church, or the New Testament church. But then, you know, in the course of the small group, you have icebreakers, you have activities, you have discussions, and you learn about the people in the small group. And so, you know, I got to learn a lot about the people that showed up, and I got to learn a lot about Blanche, and she got to learn a lot about me.
Yeah. And I was going to say, one of the things that I was looking for, you know, attending this group was that, like, purpose. Because I feel like I didn't have purpose in life. Like, I was lost for a while. And then, you know, I would pray and I would just be like, what is it, Lord? Like, what is it you want me to do? Like, and I don't know, God just told me, like, you'll find purpose here, you know? And I did in that group. I learned that God has a purpose for our lives, like everyone, you know? And so and then I learned how to talk to God too, because I didn't know how to, like, I would pray, but I wouldn't hear him. So I learned how to hear God, which is very important. But during that time, there were also like butterflies in my stomach, because he was, you know, handsome and a man of God. And like, as I started to get to know him, I was like, oh my God, like this is kind of like the image that I see for my husband, you know? And so I would have butterflies in my stomach every time I would come. And then I remember one day I was nervous to come, and I wasn't gonna come, and I'm like, oh man, why? But I knew that this was bigger than obviously like me having feelings for you or whatever, or like being nervous to see you. I knew that I needed to be here, you know, because of God and like what I wanted to learn and what I wanted to come out of it.
Yeah.
So, and then
the spiritual growth. Right,
the spiritual growth. And so I was like, you know what? Just be yourself, whatever. Because you also have to talk, and I don't like talking in front of people. So
it's a
I had like a, what is it called? Like a,
it makes you vulnerable.
Yeah. Like a chokehold. Was it?
Oh, stronghold?
Stronghold?
Or fear.
Like fear. Yeah. Like fear of coming here. And so so I wasn't gonna come, but then I was like, you know what, just be yourself, just be 100% yourself. And that day we started talking about purpose. That's when I could say that I found my purpose in life that day.
Wow.
Seriously. So it was powerful. But anyways, there was Nathan.
Yeah, and there were some times when I was nervous as well. Because, okay, obviously she's attractive, and you know, she's coming out learning, and I really took the small group seriously in terms of what the impact would be on the lives of the people who came. I felt like people were going to find freedom. I felt like people were going to learn how to connect more with God through prayer and hospitality and serving others, and really know some of the reasons behind why we Christians do the things that we do. You know, why do we love sacrificially? Why do we turn the other cheek? And so I didn't want an attraction or anything to interfere with the teaching and the spreading of God's word and the change that was happening in people's lives. And so I tried to keep like a boundary or a distance.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be cordial, welcoming everybody. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, how's your day and stuff like that. And then if I start to feel like, you know, liking too much how she smiles at me or something like that, be like, all right, I'll see you later. And walk away. And
that's literally it. We didn't speak. We never texted. We never called. Like, he didn't have my number. I didn't have his number. Nothing like that during the small group. It was just like, hi, how was your day? Good, okay. We'll sit down and have, you know, the small group, the conversation. Yeah. But so during that time, we got to know each other, obviously. You know, he would say stories about his life and stuff like that. And I would open up sometimes about my life and how I grew up and whatever, you know, we were talking about that day. And I was like, yeah, I think I really like this guy. But I thought he had a girlfriend. Mm. I thought he was dating somebody.
So what did you learn about me in the small group?
I learned that you're a man of God. I learned that you are kind, patient. Oh my God, just the way that you talk. The way that you would express yourself, and when people would ask questions, like, you would be so kind and like understanding, and I felt like you weren't judgmental.
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody.
Mm-hmm. Very encouraging. Yes, I love that. Yeah. So then yeah. So we never talked. We never talked during the small group, and so I thought he didn't like me, and I thought he had a girlfriend. But I wasn't trying to flirt. I'll say that too. I wasn't like flirting or, you know how some people. No. Some people are like, oh, you know, I like him, let me flirt. No, I was just like, I was very shy. I am a very shy person. So I wasn't trying to flirt or anything like that. It was just like, hi, bye, okay, like a child. I was acting like a child, but nothing that he would notice. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that was one thing. You hide it very well.
Oh yeah.
Because you telling me this stuff now, I would have never guessed all that was like going on in your mind. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, she just coming out to get the word. Okay, you know.
Yeah. No, and I remember one time, one of the big things that happened was like, tell him about the prayer that I had to pray for you. You had to pray for me.
Oh yeah, so we learned, one of the things we learned about is prayer. And so after like teaching and after going through the scriptures and what God's word says about prayer and conversation with God and praying the scriptures, stuff like that, it's good to have an activity that gives people practice with it. Right? You can teach people stuff and they go home and maybe they pray in silence, but they don't feel comfortable praying in public or in group settings. And so I consider this space and the small group to be a safe place. And I express that to everybody, you know, this is a safe place for you to learn how to pray, practice praying. We're going to pray in a group. And so what I did was I said, okay, everybody, you know, we each had turns sharing our prayer requests, and then now pray for the person to your right. So whenever it's your turn to pray, you pray for whoever is sitting to the right of you. And I guess, or maybe it was to the left.
To the left. The first time was to the left.
To the left.
Because he was to my left. And I was like, oh Lord, I'm going to have to pray for this man. Oh my God. And that was like the first time I had ever prayed in English out loud, like ever, like, you know. And so I was like, I was freaking out about praying for you, for anybody, you know, in general, especially out loud. It was just like, it was so vulnerable. But we did it, and I still remember what I had to pray for him for, and it was like, for you to, register your car here in Connecticut.
Oh, I was procrastinating on a lot of things.
Yeah, that's what he prayed for, procrastination.
Yeah.
And so I prayed for him. And that night, I went home and I wrote in my journal, and I was like, oh my God, Lord, like this happened today. And I had to pray for Nathan. And I was like, oh my God, Lord, what if this man is my husband that I just prayed for? Because I felt it, like I just felt it. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt it in my heart that you were gonna be my husband. From that first time I saw you. I don't know if you believe that, but that's so true. Like the first time I saw you, I was like, yeah, like I feel it. So I went home and wrote that, and to thinking back, it's crazy. That's crazy. I was like, oh God. And we, like I said, we hadn't texted, we had not talked, nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, and then the other time, I switched it up and said, pray to the person to your right.
And the funny thing about that was, that day when it was his turn to pray for me, we weren't sitting next to each other at the beginning of the session. And my sister, who was in the middle of us two, she got up and got tea or something. And I don't know why, when she came back to sit down, she didn't sit where she was sat. She was sitting. And so she sat somewhere else. That gave...
I mean, there was an open space, and then there was you. And so I ended up praying for you.
Exactly. You ended up praying for me. And I was like, oh, that feels so good. Because he's like very, you were so advanced in your faith. And I was like, yes. Because I knew it was going to be powerful that you prayed for me. And I don't remember what I asked for. I don't remember. What did you remember what you prayed for?
I think it was purpose. Finding your purpose or something like that.
Was it? Wow. Okay.
Because I know you're working at the bank, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, so he prayed for me the second time, and I thought it was really cool.
The small group was getting ready to end, and we had one fellowship, like a games night for all the young adults, from 18 to plus.
Yeah.
And Blanche came out, and she a lot of people came out, but her and her sister came out, and everybody played games and stuff like that. And so we got to play one game, spades, with each other
that I didn't know how to play, and so they were teaching us how to play. And that's when we got to, I guess, talk a little bit more. I think at the table we were talking about what we did and things like that. He was really kind and gentle while teaching us. He's a great teacher, so that's what I love about you, like your patience, your kindness, all of that. And then I also saw that you were like you could play, you weren't just a serious guy all the time. Like you could play. He was playing games with the guys, and you were going in. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, I love it. He's actually fun too. So we were, from far away, I was like seeing his how you moved.
Yeah.
So, and I liked it.
And a little while after that, small group was going to end for this message. So after this small group ended, or I'll say while small group was going on, I kind of considered like reaching out to her as off limits, because I didn't want to, violate the boundary that I had set prior.
Yeah.
But once it ended, I was like, okay, I need to make contact, because I don't know if I'll be able to get in contact with her,
Yeah.
during the summer.
Or I thought it was
whatever.
so funny. He thought I was gonna go on my boat in the summertime. And
or I just need to make sure that nobody else snatched you up. So I need to make sure.
Wasn't nobody looking for me? Nobody, not even you were looking for me. So
What?
you weren't looking for me.
I gotta put mine on. Why did you say I wasn't looking for you?
Cause you weren't. But that's good. I like it. Whatever. I like that you
Anyways,
respected the group and stuff like that.
so I sent a text.
On May 9th.
Yeah. And it was basically just introducing myself. So I didn't have any game. I was just like, hey, Blanche, this is Nathan Hart. We met in small group, you know, and just said hi and how are you doing?
How was your day or something?
Yeah, something like that. I was saying like some silly stuff just to see if I could get some conversation started.
And where I was that day, it was on a Sunday afternoon, I remember, and I had been to church that morning. And after church, I was just hanging out at home, and I don't know, I felt that text was coming soon. I don't know why, because he never talked to me, never said anything, never tried to holler at me, but I just knew in my heart. So I was like, I just felt it. I was like, the text is coming soon, or a call or a text is coming soon. And it came that day, and I was like, wow, I can't believe it. And I was just like, I was at home, and I remember I was in bed, and the text came through, and I was like, what? Oh my God. I was like, I was so excited, because I had been talking to my sister about it, and she was in the other room, and she's like, oh my God, no way. And we were so excited. Yeah. And so I read it and I answered right away. You know, I wasn't trying to like be like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna answer for an hour. Like, no, I wasn't trying to play any games. I wanted to get,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to get right into it and see if we were gonna be, you know, for each other. And that's also something that we talked about very early on, was like, oh, you know, we don't want to play games. We want to be intentional about dating, and we talked about marriage right away on our first meeting, lunch meeting. So yeah, so that night we talked for a little bit through text messages, and he asked me, he was like, oh, I want to get to know you a little bit better, right? Mm-hmm. Do you want to go out? You were like, do you want to go grab lunch one day? And I was like, okay, sure, I'm off Friday. And we met at Panera Bread.
Yeah.
Panera Bread.
And it went great. It was lunch date. We had some good food. We asked a lot of questions, you know, told stories about our life growing up, you know, the life in DR and my life in Texas and
schools. And I remember we talked about kids that day. And you were like, how do you, I think you said something about homeschooling that day, and what I thought about education and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, for the kids.
So we got right to it.
Yeah, we got right to it for real. The first day.
And then when we were,
I got you a succulent.
Oh yeah,
You were gonna say that?
Yeah, I thought that was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
So my birthday was around that time, and she got me a succulent plant, and I was like, oh, this is very thoughtful and caring. You know, I took it to work with me after lunch and put it on my desk, and people at work would comment, oh, that's a nice succulent. So it was like a good sign, you know.
Yeah.
You get like green flags, you're like, okay.
Shout out to my friend Natalia for suggesting that. She suggested it, a $5 succulent, and she was like, he's gonna fall in love with you, and I'm like, okay. So I wrote a ghetto note, and I, you know, found a piece of paper, because I didn't get him a card, but I found a piece of paper in my car, and I was like, happy birthday, Blanche. That's it, that's all I said. And he still had the note, and he had the succulent until he died.
You struggled.
Yeah, I was struggling. Yeah, what happened in the parking lot?
Oh yeah, we were walking out, and you start singing the William McDowell song. I'm not going back.
I won't go back. Can't go back to the way it used to be before your presence came and changed me. That was a saved. Changed to me. Yes.
All right, you can take your hands out of your ears. We're done singing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it was a good song. Like, okay, she's singing like one of my favorite songs,
Yeah.
gospel songs.
I knew nothing about that, obviously. It was just randomly, I found that song on Spotify one day and I saved it and I just kept listening to it. I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I was like, I love this song. And that's crazy that it was one of your favorite songs too.
Yeah, I just feel like God was giving like little signs.
Yeah.
You know, you want to know, okay, is this my wife?
Yeah.
Is this, who I'm supposed to be with?
Yeah.
And then you get like little confirmations
Yeah.
along the way as you're dating. So I thought that was one of the, confirmations that God gave me to, keep, I asked for a second date and stuff like that.
After that, we played basketball together a lot.
Oh yeah, we
Those
played
were
basketball.
like our dates. Playing basketball.
Went to dinner one time.
We went to dinner, tennis,
went to
and
the
the
park.
and we would read the Bible at the park and then play tennis or basketball.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really impressed me about you, is that like you were interested in
Really?
word study, Bible study. We read a book called Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. So we would like read one chapter and then we would talk about it
Together.
at the very beginning of the date, like when we first met up, we would, all right, let's open up the Rick Warren book, or let's open up the Bible and read a scripture, and then we would talk about it, and that would be the start of the date. And so, what were you looking for in?
What was I looking for? Okay, so I read somewhere or heard somewhere on YouTube that you should write your list of things and to not be shy and to not, limit God because, he could do anything. And so, just write everything that you want it down, and I still have it. And Nathan is everything that I wrote on that list. Someone who's, first of all, a man of God, humble, kind, patient was big, that was good with finances. Yeah, because that's important.
Yeah, it is.
A man that wanted children, good with his family, I wanted a husband that, had like a mom and a dad in his life. And because I think that's important too. A lot of people don't get to have that, but I think it does form people. Those were some of the things that I wrote down.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was looking for a spiritual, mate, someone that was equally yoked, someone who loved God, wanted to learn about God, would pray with me, would serve with me. Also who was like mature from the standpoint of making good life decisions and not necessarily, because sometimes people are like, oh, I want to go out and have some drinks and party and and it's like,
That's, yeah.
For a family, like if you want to grow a family, I just felt like I wanted someone who would put family first, who would seek wise decisions. So like the wisdom and maturity was something that really impressed me about you.
Thanks. Yeah, I am older. Like I'm 32, But anyways.
But it's people in their 30s still going out the bar.
Oh,
yeah.
40s, 50s.
Yeah.
But anyways, we won't judge anybody. But yeah, it's not what we wanted for that's another thing too. Like oh my God, that was big. Like someone that didn't drink was on my list. And I would say like, that drinks occasionally, but I definitely wanted a man that did not drink alcohol. Like, I love that about you. And I think God knew that, and I kind of thought that was impossible because, again, like, the world that we live in, but that's what I say to people, like, this is why we're making this video, because the things that you want are available. The relationship that you dream of, it is available. I'm gonna make my testimony video, and you're gonna get to know me a little bit deeper, and you're gonna see that I have seen so much and been through so much that like the relationship wasn't in the cards in my mind. I was like, yeah, like I had faith, But at the same time, I was like, maybe it's not gonna happen. Maybe that doesn't even exist, you know, but it does. I'm here to tell you that it does. And I'm so excited, you know, and happy and thankful with God that that you're my husband.
Yeah.
So we noticed that we have been talking for a while. So we're gonna cut it here. We're gonna do 2 parts because we don't want to keep you that long. If you do want to come back for part 2, it's gonna be up on this channel, obviously, after this one, and we're gonna continue with our story about how he proposed and the wedding and stuff like that. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, come back.
Bye.
Bye.